Welcome to another episode of Bird's Eye View. It's a huge pleasure today to be joined by Riccardo,
Thank
the
you, man.
CEO of Corsa, an Italian brokerage that focuses primarily on off-plan. I think really what struck my eye when we first met was the passion and your journey to date. So maybe before we get into the detail, do you want to just touch on kind of what your journey in Dubai has been like?
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt, for hosting me. It's
Good to have
an
you here.
honor, and I'm
Absolutely.
very glad to be here. We joined Dubai 3 years ago now, myself and my wife. We came from Milan.
Amazing.
Have you ever been?
I have.
Oh, nice.
Yes, very
nice.
briefly.
Yes. And
Beautiful place.
we were a bit tired of the flat line. Nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And we've also had we were also being in a different market, different industry. And I'm coming from car sales.
Okay.
This is my background,
Which is quite common here out here in real estate, right? To come from a sales background.
I met a lot of guys coming from the same industry,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now when we were traveling to Dubai, we made some holidays here. We fall in love with the energy of this city.
Amazing.
We were seeing that everything is happening here.
Yeah.
We were seeing a lot of cranes around.
A lot of opportunity.
Yes, a lot of opportunities.
Fantastic.
High energy, positivity, good
Absolutely.
vibes, people smiling.
I found the same, yeah. Especially coming from London, there's a lot of people just looking down at the floor, right? And you come here and everyone's kind of inspired and they've got that zest of energy, you know?
Yes, that's the reason number one.
Absolutely.
And after 1, 2, 3 vacations, pre-COVID and post-COVID, we decided to move. So one-way ticket in the start of 22.
I love it.
And first year, myself and my wife, we chose 2 different companies, 2 big names in the market, where we had a lot of knowledge, a lot of trainings, and we started with secondary market. Because I'm sure that if you start in secondary market, you can understand primary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the areas, price per square feet, what is happening, who are the developers, what is the quality of the buildings, etc., etc.
Yeah. Did you start in leasing, or was that in the sales?
We started the very first deal in leasing, but then straight away to sales, because of course, it's more rewarding. Yeah. And then after a year, we decided to open our own company, Corsa Real Estate.
Amazing.
So myself and my wife is Russian, myself Italian, and we have both Italians, Russians, and also other nationalities with us now. So we have a small group of agents.
Amazing.
And they are doing both. They are doing primary, and someone is doing only secondary. So this is in short our background.
Amazing. Okay, well, I mean, it's a fantastic journey, and I think what I'd be interested to know, because I think a lot of agents start, as you say, in secondary, often in leasing, and maybe don't progress as quickly into sales, but a lot of them, that's the goal, is to move into sales. And then your shift towards off-plan, what kind of triggered that? What did you see in the market, and especially opening a brokerage that primarily focused on off-plan in the beginning? Yeah. What kind of triggered that?
You know what, Matt? I feel very clearly that off-plan 2024 was a record year with like 180,000 sales transaction in Dubai.
Yeah.
And like almost 70%, like 2 out of 3 was registered in off-plan. Wow. In 2025, we are expecting similar figures, similar data from the market, and the year started strong. So it's like a train. You have to get in. And I'm sure off-plan in the next 2-3 years will be as strong as it today. But after 2030, I'm sure the market will be more balanced, and secondary and primary will be more like similar in numbers.
Understood. Is that kind of driven, I guess, by the fact that at the moment there's an undersupply within the market? If you look at kind of the units that are currently going to be handed over the next 3 to 4 years, that undersupply is slowly being caught up, and it's kind of when that point surpasses that point, do things start to equalize a bit more?
Yes, absolutely. And also, as we see a lot of European families relocating, but not only European. Yourself, you are from South Africa.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of South Africans.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We see also Australians. We see Canadians. We see even from Europe. The last year we didn't see coming a lot of Germans and French. Now we see them.
Yeah, slowly catching on.
Yeah.
And I think it's driven. I think it's a big part that it's like, a lot of the growth that we're going to be seeing in Dubai is underpinned by that population growth. But I think taking it a step further, Dubai is a very different place to what it was around 2008, 2009. You look at the market, it was an investor speculative market. What does that mean? All it took was a brochure and someone looking at this place thinking, oh, that could be a high risk, high return type of investment. Nowadays, it's a very end users market. What does that mean? But people are looking here to say it's where I could raise my family. It's where I could, it's not a place I'm just going to stop by to make some money. It's a place I can actually see myself kind of spending the next 10, 20 years.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a huge part. Now, going back to your journey and, having the benefit of working from both a secondary perspective and an off-plan perspective, what do you think the difference is in terms of the types of characteristics of an agent? And how did you find that difference in being a secondary agent? What did you find a lot of, what makes a successful secondary agent versus how different is that to being an off-plan agent?
Yeah, in my feeling, Matt, when you work in secondary market, so you have to show a lot of options to the client because they are mostly end users. Not everybody is an end user looking for deals in secondary market. There are also investors. They want to refurbish and resell, or they want to rent it out to you. Okay, so we also have investors in the secondary market, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But I think 50%, I'm not so wrong, they are end users. So to be in this kind of market, you have to be very patient.
It's a bit of a slower process, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Understood. You have to have high stamina and a lot of patience because it requires a lot of effort, and you must know very well your area because come on, Dubai is not super big, but it's not small. It's almost 4 million residents today, and the area is evolving, and you have new communities every year, every month. So if you are specializing, for example, in Marina, you cannot expect to show downtown because the client has to be followed by an expert of the area. So if you are the expert of your area, I think this is the most important part. You have to be vertical in secondary market. I think this is the most important part for an agent, the specialization, not even the area, 3-4 buildings. Because if you catch a client and they tell you what's their need, then you have to figure out what you can offer them. And so what you can based on the budget, etc.
Yeah.
So if you are working in Marina and they're looking for Marina, you should be able to show them during a day 5 to 7 options, for example. And maybe not all the apartments are vacant. Maybe one tower they don't like for some reason. They don't like the developer, or it's too old, or it's too expensive. So specialization and knowing what to offer and to cross-sell, to cross-offer something is the most important part in my experience.
It's a very good point, I think, because I think if I put myself in a buyer's shoes, you're looking at a place and especially those that are kind of new to Dubai, you may have heard and been kind of directed by other people to say, Dubai Marina is where I should focus. But when you get there, maybe there's certain things, in visiting that site or visiting that particular building that don't work. And I think the ability for an agent to be able to cross-sell that to different, surrounding communities that are quite similar, or, I think it's a big part of it.
Yeah. And if we compare the skills you have to have and to manage in off-plan, it's like to be vertical. It's my, my credo. Like in Italy, we say il mio credo, It's like something that you believe very strong. So I believe, and I'm very convinced that you must have a vertical specialization. And even in off-plan, what is meaning for us? Working only with the top 5 to 10 names. So we only offer developers and communities that we are sure about.
Understood.
Yeah, or quite sure. Of course, we don't have the crystal ball.
Yeah.
But we know Dubai Urban Vision Plan, 2040 plan. So it's like the plan of the development of the Emirates for the next 15 years. We studied, we read it. So we know the direction at least. And so we know that we have something in the south, something in the north, and we will touch them now. So we can explain which location you should look for if you are an investor, and why with these developers, because they are making 80% of the total of the stock.
Yeah.
They are building it. So why you should go with the other 20%? They are fragmented.
Interesting. So kind of just somewhere, just making sure I understand that it's kind of in the secondary market. It's it's that specific focus towards a specific community, and maybe also having some kind of cross sellable areas that you can offer your clients. Whereas in off plan, still having that specific focus, but more specifically focused towards developers as opposed to specifically focused on communities. Because when you're talking to investors, you're selling the credibility of the developer, their past projects, and that underpins and drives the return on investment, the capital appreciation. As you said, you're looking at different areas. Let's say, for example, Emaar the Valley or Emaar Oasis. You're going to be looking at what has happened with that developer in similar communities in the past, such as Arabian Ranches and Dubai Hills, and it's more telling a story for the investor versus a community where it's actually understanding all of the ins and outs, because that person most likely, not always, but is going to be living there. Does that sound about?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. Also because in Dubai, I don't know, in other places in the world, I don't know. I only have experience in real estate in this place, that is, in my opinion, is amazing. But you have to be aware, because from my point of view, from my perspective, and what we saw from our direct experience, in Dubai is more important, of course, the location, but the developer. It's the first thing. Why? Absolutely. Because the good developer will build where? In a good area. So when you choose the good developer, the strong name, it's like you are sure with the area, because they already
that
own
strategic direction of where everything's going.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Because they follow the direction of the the government. No. Yeah. So exactly. For example, Emaar South, very in demand area because of Al Maktoum airport project, because of Punjab El Ali, because of many reasons. Many people will work there, will be based there, will be living there. Absolutely. So, but in Emaar South, that take the name from Emaar, because they are very smart, Emaar South. Yeah. So it's in general it's Dubai South. Yeah. But I
everyone refers to it as Emaar South.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of projects.
I think there was a lot of confusion with a lot of agents, because there's Dubai South, the developer down there. Yeah. There was a lot of confusion in terms of understanding it. But as you say, Emaar kind of like
they have a big site of Dubai South.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for example, if you buy something in Dubai South, let's take for an example of townhouses, and you go for a project by Emaar. It is like the number one in Dubai, no doubt about Emaar. Okay. This is the developer. But if there is another developer beside, so it's like two townhouses. One is by Emaar, one is anonymous developer. It's the same exact location. It's the plot beside. So the location is good. We agree that it will be growing. But why you cannot sell at the same price the other townhouse? Why?
Brand.
It's beside. Yeah, and maybe it's more beautiful. Branding. Of course, branding.
And trust and the credibility.
And trust and credibility, of course. So it's not only the location. Again, you have to work with the right developers and the big names.
Absolutely. Yeah? Absolutely. That's a really, really good point. I think I've spoken about it previously, and I always tend to think in terms of when you're looking at a long-term capital gain strategy over 8 to 10 years, I always like to use Emaar as a kind of strategic pinpoint as to where those are, the valley, and then everything kind of Shoba Award is down there as well, but it kind of draws everything out there, same exactly like you say in the south, which I think is a super interesting area. You've got the airport here, because that's going to bring in a lot of people that are going to be working in the largest airport. There's going to be a lot of staff headcount that are going to need houses down there.
Absolutely.
Similarly, as you say with Palm Jebwali, that's probably a bit more longer term. But even Expo City at the moment, it's already kind of for someone investing in that kind of area, you already got demand for tenants, and immediate ROI for places in Expo City.
Of course, Expo City, Metro is already there because they already did it for the Expo, basically.
Yeah.
So infrastructure is already top level, and the project of the Metro expansion with the blue line that will touch like Silicon Oasis, Academic City, and so on. So the Dubai land side, it's something else, something more.
Yeah.
That will connect more and more Dubai, but. Coming back to Expo is ready, and there are already a lot of buildings made by Expo City developer, and now Emaar is launching a lot of buildings. The first project is called Terra Heights, and there are different phases, low-rise buildings, and I think this concept is really appreciated by Europeans mostly.
Absolutely.
Because we prefer mid or low rise. Maybe when we go to Dubai, when we come to Dubai for the first time as vacationers, or for a holiday, for relax, we love to be on
in a
top
hotel.
yeah, like Burj Khalifa style.
Yeah.
But then we understand that living very high rise, it's like can be uncomfortable for many reasons.
Absolutely.
And also maybe for safety reasons.
Somehow. Yeah, absolutely.
So
okay, now I want to just touch on something, because I think what really caught my eye when I first met you, Ricardo, is I think in terms of the content that you put out, whether that be on social media, whether that be across WhatsApp channels. I think what really caught my eye is that you really on the ball, and you're kind of very proactive in terms of understanding what's out there in the market. And I know one of the things that really stood out for me was bulk deals. I have a lot of investors and a lot of clients that are always looking to how can I secure that kind of short-term capital gain. And I think, I'm sure you would agree, it's finding those bulk deals are an extremely good option for that. And when someone enters into something like that, so let's say you have an opportunity to purchase a bunch of units at a bulk discount. If you put yourself in the shoes of the investor, what types of things would you be considering there in terms of, it's not as easy as saying I can get a bulk discount, let's do it. It's maybe looking at the sellability of that product afterwards, why that stock is left over. What do you think are the considerations that investors should be looking at there?
Yeah, there are different types of investors, also based on their experience, their background, and their nationality also. As an example, Italians, of course, now I'm talking like in general, in general way.
Yeah.
But when you talk generally speaking, you're wrong. But usually, Italian investors, they want to touch, they want to see the property, they don't trust of plan. So this is the criteria, the general criteria they believe into. Understood. So they prefer very short windows of time because they want to be safe, in the safe side. Like, for example, Ricardo, okay, this project is beautiful, but the handover is 2029. How can I be sure that my money is safe?
Interesting.
And then even if you tell them, oh, there is the escrow account, this is IMAR, this is the number one, this is like Rolex in the watchmaker industry.
Yeah.
Like, nothing can happen. They prefer something ready in 1 year or already done. So with this kind of client, I try to select maybe a bulk deal, maybe a full building, like a small 4-story, 5-story building in developing areas. And there are a lot of examples we can tell. And they prefer, something just to be refined or completed, like the structure.
Just before handover, like.
Yes.
Yeah, understood.
Just have the chance to enter.
It's that physical. You can see the physical asset.
There is the building. They want to touch and see it and visit.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult with them to close a deal on the distance, connecting with a Zoom call and sharing all the documents and the information and the due diligence. They want to come to Dubai to see the location, even if the first time they want to understand. And I can understand this.
Yeah, of course.
And then also there is another type of investor. They believe in the long term. They believe in the brand. They believe more in Dubai because maybe they know more Dubai.
They're more educated.
Yes, they're more educated and maybe they already invested abroad. So for them, even if this deal is not 10 kilometers from their home, they are okay. They are comfortable with this idea. So most of the time, from the north side of Europe, usually the client is more used to this kind of operations.
Understood.
And also other nationalities, not only Europeans, but we often talk with Europeans.
That's quite interesting.
And for this kind of investor, they can wait more. It's like they have the same target, of course, make profit, but they can wait more because they are differentiating. They have a big portfolio, so they don't care if they have a payment plan. Like I can have my own payment plan, yourself, your payment plan as an individual, and they are okay if there is a good discount, honest discount on the price list, and they go in the same payment plan of the individual investor. So it's a different type of option. They are differentiating their portfolio of investments.
Yes. Okay. For the first type, I think an important part there is for someone that's looking for something to move a bit quicker, but they want the tangible, the physical touch. They want to see it themselves. But I think it comes down to, if you are going to fall into that bucket as an investor, you still need to be able to act quickly, because these units don't stick, especially if you're talking, close to handover, or
Absolutely.
there's a point where these deals go within sometimes 24, 48 hours.
Absolutely.
So if you fall into that bucket, I think that's a key for investors to know, is that you've got to act quickly.
You have to be very quick.
Yeah.
And much better if you have the money, the funds already in Dubai.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we are struggling to transfer the money from Europe to Dubai like instantly, because there are a lot of limitations from banks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not
so
only
maybe
from Europe.
Maybe it sounds that the best way forward for an investor is rather to have that conversation early, understand what kind of appetite you would have, what your budget would be, make sure that money is here, and then it comes down to the trust of working with yourself to say, when I know that a good deal comes in, you need to trust me, and we need to act quickly within a matter of a couple of hours. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
So we have often like bulk deals for full floors, or with even entire buildings. So we can find something from, I don't know, $3 million to $30 million. This is the usual range. Okay. Of course, there are a lot of hotels for sale. We can find everything, but we are not, most of our time, we are not into commercial, and we are into residential. And finding the bulk deals, it's only a matter of connections and knowledge of the areas and the communities and the developers, because not all the developers like bulk deals, not all the developers like discount on price list, and some of the big names, of as you can expect, they don't care if you have $10 million,
because they know it's going to sell.
Yeah, of course, they will sell without your help.
Yeah.
So we have to find the right developer, like small, mid-size, but still trusted and solid, financially, trustworthy. They have a lot of projects in the pipeline and something already delivered, so we can trust them for many reasons. We have done our due diligence, and then offer the right product, maybe with an entry point today and an exit in 12, 15 months max, with or without a payment plan. Because sometimes, to have a very strong discount, they prefer you pay all upfront.
Understood.
As you can expect,
And I think with these deals, it creates quite a lot of flexibility for investors as well, because they can look at it this. Let's say they purchase a bulk deal, they purchase a floor or a bunch of units for 25 to 35% kind of day one capital gain. It gives them a bit of flexibility in terms of what they can do with that property, because they have the availability to put it on the market at market price straight away. They have the availability to wait a very short time frame for handover and then start collecting rental yield if they're looking to hold it. And if they've got faith in the project, there's a third option for more, holding that long term. If they're not getting the desired price that they want on the market, they're not necessarily rushed by it, and they can hold that.
And among investors, Matt, there are also interior designers and architecture firms, like mostly from Italy, because they love to customize with Italian furniture. So for a European firm, maybe it could be very funny to buy a full floor, and then, as you are the owner, you can change whatever you want with the NOC into the, inside the apartment, because you are not touching the exterior of the project. You are only customizing your floor, your units, or of course the perfection is your full building. So imagine a branding. You can make a very branding thing.
It's a good point, because you're not just making your day one capital gain from the bulk purchase, but you're uplifting the value straight away from doing some work on the inside. Yeah, having the flexibility to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
You can do, because it's your own project now.
Yeah.
You bought it, and you can customize the interiors. You can change the materials. You can change the furniture, and make an upgrade, even if the building is new. Or imagine you have a tower, 30-story, and you buy the floor number 18. This number 18 will be branded by, I don't know, XY. It's a very good name, very good brand in fashion or in furniture, I don't know, something. Even in watches, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have already some example in Dubai.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the ideas are, endless.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter to find,
And I think one final point that I would like to touch on as well, going back to what you had said earlier around, working with the top developers. I think now more than ever, going into 2025, you can see a shift and a divide within the markets with the new smart rental index, and kind of the rating index and rating properties. And I think this will be a combination of the community that those properties are in, but also the maintenance and the general building itself.
Yes.
And I think now more than ever, going into 2025, having great connections with the developers and working with those top developers are really making sure that you're falling on the right side of that line as those, as those rules and regulations get unfolded over the course of the year. I think being with a high quality developer is really going to segregate you in the market.
Yeah. Your money will be safer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Ricardo, listen, I know you've got a very busy schedule today, so I don't want to take any more of your time. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and we really, really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.